Hello everybody and welcome back to the RORSRPS Season 2 Qualifier. My name is Preston Vieira and it's time to find our final two qualifiers for the week. Tomorrow, Saturday, February 3rd, we'll be hosting our tour placement votes for the qualifiers from this week on the RORSRPS Instagram story. Don't miss it. We've had some great trucks qualify this week and your votes will decide which tour they get placed on. We got three all-new tours, the Biggest and Baddest Tour, the Indie Madness Tour, and the All-Star Challenge Tour featuring Team Thunder and Team Mayhem battling it out in the biggest team battle we've ever seen. As usual, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's event and want to keep up with the qualifiers or catch the soon-to-come Season 2 featuring 3 Tours of Chaos and a new larger total of 48 main field trucks. Don't forget to head over to Instagram and drop a follow to our official page at RORSRPS because here on YouTube, you're only getting half the RORSRPS experience every weekend on Instagram. Until we fill our main field, our tour placement votes will be taking place for our newest qualifiers from the week, and I need your help to decide which tours our new qualifiers are going to be competing on. Every vote counts, so be sure to head over to Instagram this weekend and join in the fun. Your tour placement votes will dictate our champions for Season 2. Now, though, it's time to finish finding our picks for tonight's first event. And for our first event, we'll be spinning both wheels to find our 16 spots in the racing bracket. Then, as always, we'll be shuffling our official lineup 3 times to find our matchups for round 1. And closing out our first picks here on the reuse wheel, it's Blockhead. Northern Nightmare coming by to check out the Spin Master Showdown track. It's been a while since we've seen Northern Nightmare competing. No Problem is back once again. Soldier Fortune Black Ops has already qualified, so he gets a pass. Jester is coming back to try it again. Max D CRD, a Werewolf No Beam version this time around. Screamin' Evil is here. First time we're seeing him on the channel. Wolverine is back, a werewolf truck. Last time we saw him, he snapped both the rear wheels off, so we'll see if he can keep those on this time around. And here is your final shuffle as it loads a little bit. And there it is, your official lineup leading to our matchups here in round 1. There looks like there's a couple requests in there. Here's your round 1 face-offs here. Blockhead is going to take on BoogieVan. Max D Red is going to take on No Problem. Northern Nightmare is taking on Screamin' Evil here. Wolverine is going to take on Party Time, that Namps truck back once again. Stone Crusher is going to take on Jester. Death Row, another Namps truck, is going to take on that Max D Werewolf truck. Sly Cooper is going to take on Max D Gold. And to finish out round 1, we got MonsterMut back once again, taking on 4-Wheel Crazy. We'll see if he can get up onto starting elevation and keep that truck safe this time around. BoogieVan coming out first on your left, taking on Blockhead to get us started. And we're going green for round 1. Up and over the step up to get us started. It's pretty neck and neck so far. No one has the hole shot here off the line. BoogieVan does get kicked a little sideways heading towards that first gap. Looks like Blockhead has a very slight lead on BoogieVan right now. We'll see if BoogieVan can make up the time here in the slalom. Nicely done from both trucks. Blockhead still holding on and expanding his lead. BoogieVan not the cleanest over the double roller, just giving Blockhead that little bit of an extra edge to hold on here as we head to the bridge. Nicely done. Blockhead getting in trouble up on the sidewalls, going down and off the bridge goes Blockhead. And a bounce off of those tires leads him right into the pit of disqualification. Blockhead is done. Here in round 1, BoogieVan free and clear to move on to round 2 if he can get across that finish line. Now, BoogieVan has never really had a problem getting across the finish line, but you never know. Anything could happen. He is going to go long to low there on your gap on the bottom floor and heading up into that elevated turn, just trying to keep that truck on all fours just to ensure he gets across that finish line. Nice pass through the chicane there on the bottom floor and headed into the final turn for BoogieVan. He got it. Around that final turn and up and over the triple, BoogieVan moves on to round 2 tonight. Nicely done, holding on and keeping that truck under control, unlike Blockhead this time around. Solid pass. We'll see him again in a little bit here for round 2. But we're about to get into our next race of round 1. And as BoogieVan heads up into the pits, we'll take a look at our next competitors here. Max D coming out on your right, that red, candy red version, taking on No Problem. On your left, we've seen No Problem here twice before. Max D, we've seen him a couple times before as well. It's a curious prospect heading into round 2. Who will continue? Both of these trucks have had their individual problems. No Problem going to come up short there, up over the step up. Max D in the lead, heading to the gap. Both trucks coming up short here on the landing of the gap, but both trucks looking good in turn 1, heading to the slalom now. Who can hold it together here in the slalom, and can No Problem make up some ground? Looks like he does. It's about neck and neck heading to the double roller here. Max D a very slight lead. No Problem gaining a little bit of ground there through the slalom. Max D, the first one potentially heading into the bridge. Yes, going down that ski hill. Max D expanding his lead a little bit on No Problem. Big sky wheelie from Max D, though. That's going to give No Problem a chance to catch up. And it does, as they're essentially neck and neck here onto the floor. Who's going to get a better transfer is the question. Max D comes off real smooth and gets through that tunnel with no complications. No Problem getting a little sloppy there through that tunnel chicane. Who is going to take a better leap over the gap here on the bottom floor? Max D, essentially a perfect landing there. No Problem getting kicked up onto a wheelie. That is not going to help his pass here. Max D looks like he's got it on lock here in round 1. Coming around the final turn for Max D. He will be moving on to round 2. No Problem not able to make up the ground he needed to pass Max D here in round 1. Max D moves on to round 2 tonight. Man, No Problem struggles getting out of round 1. I think he's been out of round 1 once of his 3 times here on the Spin Master Showdown qualifier, but Max D has been out of round 1 more times than he hasn't. Northern Nightmare coming out next on your right, taking on Screamin' Evil. Both of these trucks debuting here on the Spin Master Showdown track. Neither one of them has taken a pass around it. We'll see who comes out on top here tonight, and if anything surprising might happen. Up and over the step up here, Screamin' Evil with the whole shot in some big air. But Northern Nightmare catches up and passes him, heading to the Jackrabbit. Beautiful landing from Northern Nightmare. Screamin' Evil launching way out over that gap here on the first floor. Kind of puts him out for turn 1. Can he catch up to Northern Nightmare in the slalom? He does. They're about neck and neck here. Who's going to get to the double rollers first? It's going to be Screamin' Evil, making up a lot of ground in that slalom. Up onto starting elevation. Northern Nightmare hits the ground first and pulls a tighter turn that might help him, but Screamin' Evil still holding on to a slight lead. Oh my goodness, Screamin' Evil clearing the cars here. A rare sight. I think we've seen one other truck clear the cars on the bridge, but Screamin' Evil added to the list now. Both trucks getting solid landings. Northern Nightmare might have come off a little smoother, but Screamin' Evil getting in trouble here in the dip. Gets spun around and ends up back on all 4 tires, but it gives Northern Nightmare the perfect opportunity to get back in the lead here in the elevated turn. And Screamin' Evil goes over on the elevated turn, trying to get a save. Nicely done. Still gets a save, but still too far behind to grab a lead here. Northern Nightmare heading around that final turn, up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. Northern Nightmare moves on to round 2, knocking out Screamin' Evil here in round 1. Screamin' Evil, unfortunately, unable to keep that truck on all 4s, keep it under control here on the bottom floor. Had an incredibly great run through the first half of this race. Just not enough here, not enough control here in the bottom floor to move on to round 2. Next race of round 1, Wolverine coming out on your right, that werewolf node beam truck taking on the Nance truck, Party Time. Now, as I mentioned many times before, Wolverine being that werewolf node beam truck is the perfect opportunity for Party Time to make it into round 2 if there's a breakage or a spill from Wolverine. We'll have to see if it happens as we head into the Jackrabbit. Wolverine gets an early lead here, but Party Time gets a better landing. It's Party Time leading to the gap, but he's going to have to go long to low through the gap. Wolverine comes up short on the landing, but not short enough to harm the run at all. He leads heading into the slalom. Wolverine, last time he was here, as we mentioned, on these double rollers that he's about to take on, managed to lose both rear tires. So we'll see if he can keep those wheels on this time around with a beautiful landing, and he does. Party Time getting a solid downside on the double rollers as well, getting up on a starting elevation nice and clean. Heading into the bridge now for Wolverine. Can he keep it together tonight? Kind of gets kicked up on the nose there, keeping it safe though, keeping it running. Party Time struggling to get caught up with Wolverine, but anything could happen here as we head onto the bottom floor. Party Time getting kicked up. Oh my God, gets wedged there in the tunnel. That is going to be done for Wolverine. For Party Time, excuse me. Wolverine heading up and over that gap, gets a little long to low, heading into the elevated turn. And Wolverine has a free shot at a round 2 qualification if he gets a solid pass here for the rest of the run. Heading into the final turn for Wolverine. He's going to do it. Wolverine moves on to round 2 tonight. Nicely done. He had a lead the entire race, but managed to hold it together long enough for Party Time to make a big mistake, which gives him that free shot, that free ride into round 2. And way to keep those rear tires on. Next race of round 1, we got Stone Crusher coming out on your right, taking on Jester. The battle of the independents here in round 1. Who is going to come out on top? Going green. Coming to the step up, it's Jester with a very slight lead here onto the first floor. Both of them getting solid landings on that Jackrabbit, but Stone Crusher is going to go long to low through the gap. That puts him behind early. Jester, a nice lead on Stone Crusher right now as we head into the slalom. Looks like Stone Crusher is a werewolf node beam truck, so we'll see if he can make up some ground here in the slalom. Trying to get it done, but it's not going to happen. Jester too far in the lead right now as he heads into the double roller. Comes up just shy of a perfect downside. Stone Crusher getting a nice one. Kind of struggles getting on the starting elevation though. Jester, first one up onto the bridge. Can he hold this lead for the entire race? Looks like Jester tweaked something in the rear end, trying to get back up onto starting elevation. And that left rear is hurt bad as we head down into the tunnel. Jester getting in trouble though. Nearly making a big mistake and allowing Stone Crusher a free ride into round 2. Jester got to get that under control for round 2 if he happens to make it. He's the first one around and through that elevated turn though. It's looking good for Jester here in round 1. Stone Crusher still struggling, and struggling even worse now that that left rear is hurt. Jester up and over the triple. He'll be moving on to round 2 here tonight. Stone Crusher just unable to make a big move. And now that left rear is completely destroyed. Gonna come up short on the bus and head to the finish line. Stone Crusher out early here in tonight's competition. Yeah, now that left rear is totally dead. One more time for Stone Crusher, but it's Jester heading into round 2. We'll see him in just a minute. Max D, another werewolf truck coming out next on your left, taking on Death Row. We haven't seen Death Row in a long time. This was one of our first NAMPS trucks to take on the track. Back once again, seeing if he can do better than he did last time. Can he potentially stick it out longer than the werewolf truck can? We'll find out as Max D is the first one to the Jackrabbit death row, looking sloppy here on the first floor. Real sloppy, gets kicked sideways. Down goes death row early. Max D gets nearly a perfect landing on the gap, and he is free and clear to head into round 2. He just needs to hold that truck together here for his first pass and get a nice little practice pass in before round 2, because I'm sure round 2 is not going to be such an easy pass for Max D. Up and over the double roller, beautifully done. A little short, but nothing that hurts him. Heading onto the bridge, how is he going to do it here? Are the cars going to mess him up? It's a real question. The car's got a blockhead, and that hurt him big time. Managing to stay off the center divide there, got a little close, but keeps it free, keeps it running, looking for a transfer into the tunnel, nearly clipping the top of the chassis there, but manages to keep it free and clear, and nicely done. Beautiful transfer, looking good here on the bottom floor as well. He's going to come up short, of course, for the elevated turn. Nicely done around it. This might be one of our fastest werewolf passes that we've seen on this track. Max D killing it here tonight. Max D team with 3 trucks in the field tonight, and 2 of the 3 have made it into round 2 so far. Here is their second one. Max D moving on into round 2. Great pass from Max D. One of the best we've seen tonight for sure, even with coming up short in the elevated turn, or in the gap leading to the elevated turn. Max D coming out next on your left, taking on Sly Cooper. This is going to be an interesting race here. Sly Cooper been here quite a few times now. Max D as well. And we're going green. Who is going to let that experience pay off the most? Max D getting a little squirrely there, getting down onto the first floor. But Max D gets a better landing on the Jackrabbit. Sly Cooper a little all over the place trying to get to the gap. Throws him off in the turn thanks to that landing. Coming up short on the gap there. Max D just expanding his lead. Can he expand it even more through the slalom, or will Sly Cooper be able to come back? Max D still with a nice gap on Sly Cooper here. Oh, Sly Cooper gets kicked sideways, getting up on a starting elevation. Sly Cooper, I mean, there's a long race to go, but he might be done here in round 1. Max D has been here quite a few times, getting pretty far up into the bracket. He's trying to do it again tonight, and this time make it into season 2. Sly Cooper coming up short on the transfer into the tunnel. Not looking good for Sly Cooper unless there's a big mistake for Max D. What's he going to do for the gap? He's going to shoot it. Comes up a little short there. Hard hit on the front end. Same for Sly Cooper, though. Sly Cooper might have come off a little cleaner, but he's too far behind to make a big difference. Is Max D going to hold this lead through the final turn, or will there be a mistake? No mistake. A beautiful turn from Sly Cooper as well. Literally a perfect turn from Sly Cooper, but just not enough to get back in the lead with Max D tonight. Max D moves on to round 2. All 3 Max Ds in the lineup have made it into round 2 tonight. Team Max D looking for a qualification into season 2, and they're doing great. Can tonight be the night we get our second Max D team truck? MonsterMut coming out next on your right, taking on 4-Wheel Crazy. Now, we just saw 4-Wheel Crazy pretty recently, about an episode or 2 ago. 4-Wheel Crazy was unable to stick it out the entire night, just a little too slow. We'll see if he, can keep up with the pack tonight. MonsterMut flying over that step up. Little bit of a slap wheelie, but gets it under control. It's 4-Wheel Crazy in the lead right now, but MonsterMut gets a better downside on the Jackrabbit. And that matters as we lead into that first gap. It is MonsterMut who comes off a lot cleaner as he gets a much straighter jump than 4-Wheel Crazy did. Who's going to hold it through the slalom? 4-Wheel Crazy doing a great job of coming back here. He does grab the lead from MonsterMut as we head into the double rollers. Beautiful downside from 4-Wheel Crazy, not so much from MonsterMut. Heading into the ski hill, 4-Wheel Crazy just expanding that lead little by little. Will it be 4-Wheel Crazy moving on to round 2 tonight? We got about half a race left to go here as we head into the tunnel. 4-Wheel Crazy coming up a little short. MonsterMut getting a pretty good transfer there. Trying to make up the ground on 4-Wheel Crazy. Does a good job. He's pretty neck and neck with him. Not quite there. MonsterMut gonna go long to low there. 4-Wheel Crazy getting an awkward bounce. Slows him down. MonsterMut has a shot at the win here in round 1 if he can just stick with it for the rest of the pass. 4-Wheel Crazy leads heading into this final turn. And he will come out of it with the lead up and over the triple. 4-Wheel Crazy headed into round 2. Nicely done, sticking with it the entire lap. MonsterMut just unable to come back here in round 1. Nearly got it. He would have been a little cleaner through that final chicane. Maybe he would have had it, but it just doesn't happen for him to close out round 1. BoogieVan in round 2 is going to be taking on Max D with that candy red paint job. Northern Nightmare is going to take on Wolverine. Jester will face off against that werewolf Max D, and Max D Gold is going to be taking on 4-Wheel Crazy. We have an opportunity for a Max D versus Max D in the semifinals here. Can Max D Werewolf knock out Jester, and will Max D Gold knock out 4-Wheel Crazy is the question. Kicking off round 2, we have a pretty wild race here. BoogieVan taking on Max D. This could go either way. BoogieVan, usually a pretty solid competitor. He's been in the semifinals a couple times. Max D, typically solid on the bottom floor with that gap clearing. We'll see if he can bring that into play tonight. But it's BoogieVan leading over the Jackrabbit until Max D gets a perfect downside. It's neck and neck. Oh, BoogieVan, what is going on? Comes up way too short in that first gap. Lands right on top of that hump in the middle. And that hurt. That hurt his pass for sure. And I guarantee it hurt his back in the landing. Coming through the slalom, Max D trying to hold that lead on BoogieVan. BoogieVan trying to get a nice smooth slalom here, but it's not working. But Max D is getting into a lot of trouble here. Up onto starting elevation, and down goes Max D. Max D is done. Wow. BoogieVan headed up onto the bridge. He has a clear shot at the semifinals. Can he hold it together and get across that finish line? Headed into the tunnel. Solid transfer, a little bounce there, which could have got him in trouble, but it didn't. Heading through the rollers and looking for the gap now. Can he clear it? Oh, nice save, keeping it off the roof here on this elevated turn. Coming around that final chicane and into the final turn. It's looking good for BoogieVan. Can he hold it together? Solid final turn. Beautifully done. Up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. BoogieVan moves on to the semifinals here tonight. Nice. Nice little slap wheelie too. He's going to head back up to starting elevation and prep for the semifinals. Our next race of the night is Northern Nightmare taking on Werewolf No Beam Wolverine. Can that werewolf truck stick it out to the end tonight? We have a shot at a werewolf versus werewolf in the finals. They just have to get there. Northern Nightmare, a very slight lead as we head up and over the step up. Two similar approaches there, getting up and over it, but it's Northern Nightmare with the lead, heading into the gap. Coming around the first turn, it's Wolverine who gets through it nice and clean, nice and quick, with a lead heading into the slalom. Can Northern Nightmare come back? It's looking like he's making a solid effort of that, but Wolverine comes through with that werewolf grip and gets right over those double rollers Nice landing from Northern Nightmare, though. Neck and neck here on that starting elevation turn. Heading into the ski hill, Northern Nightmare a very slight lead. Can he make it up and hold that lead the entire rest of the race is the question. Not right now. Wolverine with a very slight lead still. Or once again, I shouldn't say still. Heading into the tunnel, it's a pretty even race here. Northern Nightmare does have a very slight lead. Can he hold on to it is the question. Heading up and over the gap here. Solid landing. Wolverine goes for the landing. Tries to shoot the gap to keep up with Northern Nightmare. And it seems like it might have hurt him. Yes, drive shaft hanging down. He has no power in those front wheels. And that, yeah, down goes Wolverine. Northern Nightmare moving on to the semifinals tonight as Wolverine is just trying to get across that finish line. Some good old-fashioned Monster Jam car crushing, and look at this. Wolverine snaps the tie rod on top of it, adding insult to injury as he limps across that finish line. He loses a wheel. Wolverine, one of our most destructive trucks here on the Spin Master Showdown. Max D coming out next on your left. Another werewolf truck. Can he hold out till the rest of the night? Or, you know, till the rest of the pass? Taking on Jester. Or will Max D fall victim to that werewolf node beam breakage? Heading up and over the step up. Max D flying over it. Jester kind of getting a little tap on the downside of it. Both trucks getting solid landings. Max D gets a better one though. Trying to clear the gap. Gets kicked a little sideways. Has to get that under control. That hurts his pass here early on. But it's Jester leading into the slalom. Oh, Max D making up the ground already. Look at this. Max D is determined to be our first werewolf node beam truck headed into season 2. Can he do it tonight? Both trucks getting beautiful landings on the downside of the double roller. Looking for that ski hill now. It is Max D still holding that lead on Jester. Can Jester come back? Kind of gets hung up on the cars there. That hurts him even more as Max D is looking for the transfer already. Jester too. Jester with a beautiful transfer. Doing what needs to be done if he wants to come back. Heading for the gap. Max D gonna have to come up short here. Jester doing the same though. Can Jester come back in these final turns? This is important for him to get it right if he wants to come back, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Just too much grip on the werewolf end of the screen. Max D moving on to the semifinals tonight, knocking out Jester here. What a race. We are halfway to a Max D versus Max D. It all comes down to our next race. Will we get that acclaimed Max D versus Max D race? We will see here in just a minute as they head back up to the pits and we get ready for our next race of the night. Max D Gold coming out next on your right, taking on 4-Wheel Crazy. 4-Wheel Crazy surprised me last lap. Can he stick it out this time around once again and knock out Max D? We'll see as we launch off of that starting line and get things started to close out round 2. Pretty neck and neck here. Both of them getting solid landings. Max D gets back on the power first, and he has a slight lead heading into this turn. Oh, 4-Wheel Crazy goes over. Oh my goodness. Just unable to keep that truck safe in that first turn. Down goes 4-Wheel Crazy. Max D free and clear to get a win here if he can just get across that finish line. It's looking like it's Max D versus Max D to close out the semifinals. Around that starting elevation turn, nice and clean. This is looking like a perfect pass from Max D so far. How's he gonna do on the transfer is the question. This is a perfect time to practice because that werewolf Max D has been solid all night long, and nicely done into and through the tunnel for Gold Max D. Getting a little squirrely there through the dip. He needs to keep that truck under control if he wants to move on to the finals tonight. Solid landing on the elevated turn. Keeping that truck on all 4 BKT tires. Nice chicane too, heading into the final turn for Max D. He will be moving on to the semifinals tonight. And that's the type of turn he needs to bring into the semifinals with him if he wants to knock out that CRD Werewolf Max D. He's been solid tonight, and the grip in the turns is just, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard between these two Max Ds at the bottom of the bracket right now. BoogieVan is going to be taking on Northern Nightmare to kick off the semifinals. And down at the bottom of our semifinal bracket, we got Max D Werewolf taking on Max D Gold. This is going to be an interesting semifinal round. I don't think we've ever had, team trucks go against each other in the finals. I don't think it's ever been, Gravedigger versus Gravedigger or Max D versus Max D. Could be wrong, though. There might have been a Gravedigger versus Gravedigger, and it's escaping me at the moment. But we're getting started here in the semifinals already. Both trucks taking hard hits to the front end, getting off of that step up. But it's Northern Nightmare leading to the gap and across it. Beautifully done for both trucks on the landing. Northern Nightmare just holding on to his lead right now. Can BoogieVan come back in the slalom? Making an effort, nice and controlled through it. Northern Nightmare giving it all he's got to try and stay in the lead, and he does as we head into the double roller. Northern Nightmare comes up short. So does BoogieVan, though, but Northern Nightmare struggles getting onto starting elevation. Rubbing up against that step up. BoogieVan in the lead right now. Can he hold it until the end? Will tonight be the night that BoogieVan gets a final round spot and takes a Season 2 qualification? Looking for the transfer here. BoogieVan still holding that lead on Northern Nightmare. And it's Northern Nightmare who is smoother through it. Neck and neck onto the bottom floor. Wow. These guys are going at it here. Both trying to shoot the gap. Who's going to get a cleaner landing? Looks like BoogieVan to me. Northern Nightmare struggling in that elevated turn, but it comes out to be neck and neck. BoogieVan leads very slightly heading into the final turn, but it's going to be Northern Nightmare, it looks like. Yes, up and over the triple. Northern Nightmare is heading into our final round tonight. Wow, what a comeback. I mean, what a race on both ends. They were both in the leads at multiple points. And Northern Nightmare just manages to come back at the end and stick it out. And here it is, Max D versus Max D. Of course, Max D Gold, a V4 truck. And that Max D on your right with the spikes is a Werewolf node beam truck. Who is going to come out on top here in our semifinals? We're going green. Werewolf Max D taking that rollover approach to the step up. Both of them getting solid landings. It's Max D with the spikes heading up and over the gap first. Both of them with clean landings. What a start to this race. Neck and neck into the slalom. It's gonna be Werewolf Max D on your right who comes out first and gets over the double rollers first. And arguably with a cleaner landing on the double rollers. Oh! Gold Max D spins out in the starting elevation turn and clips the dumpster on the way out. That hurt big time. Can he come back? Will there be a mistake from Max D Werewolf? Looking for a transfer. Beautifully done from that Werewolf Max D. Gold Max D going for it as well. Nicely done. A little sloppy there on the landing, trying to fight that truck to keep it on all fours. Werewolf Max D going long to low, heading around that elevated turn. Gold Max D getting crooked And that is going to put him out for sure. Unable to get the clean landing he needs. And I think he was too far back anyways. It's going to be Werewolf Max D heading into the finals tonight. Up and over the triple. Will we get a Werewolf no beam truck in Season 2? That is the question as we head into the finals. And can Max D stick it out for one more race, knocking out one more opponent? Gold Max D just now getting over the triple and over the finish line. Down goes the V4 here in the semifinals. Look at this final round race. Northern Nightmare taking on that Werewolf Node Beam Max D for the win here, for that Season 2 qualifying spot. Who is going to get it? We just saw that Werewolf Max D knock out a V4. Can he do it again? Northern Nightmare on your right, pulling up to that starting line. Same for Max D on your left. This is going to be an exciting final round that could go either way as we go green. Northern Nightmare, of course, with the whole shot up and over the step up. But can Max D pull out his usual tricks to get him into the lead? Bit sloppy of a landing there. And comes up short on the gap. Ooh, narrowly avoids the dumpsters. Northern Nightmare in the lead with a nice barrier of safety behind him and between him and Max D right now. Northern Nightmare taking those slaloms tight, really letting that inner tire hang into that pit of disqualification. It is Max D with a smoother landing on the double rollers, but Northern Nightmare is too far in the lead for something small like that to matter at this point. Can Northern Nightmare hold on to it for the rest of the race? Looking clean up and through the cars. Same for Max D though. Max D really needs to get on it if he wants to catch up for the win here tonight. Beautiful transfer from both trucks. Max D nice and smooth, from just like what we've seen from him all night tonight. But it's Northern Nightmare in the lead, headed to the gap on the bottom floor. He's going to clear it. Max D is going to come up short, and that might seal the deal here in the final turns. Northern Nightmare a bit slippery, but it doesn't matter. He is too far ahead for Max D to make a move. Northern Nightmare almost blows it in the final turn though, taking it way too wide. But he holds the lead up and over the triple and over the finish line. Northern Nightmare is your next Season 2 qualifier. He will be back and consistently seen and performing all season long on the RORSRPS second season. If you want to vote for what tour he gets placed on, be sure to head over to that RORSRPS Instagram tonight and follow. Keep an eye on my story tomorrow because he will be posted along with all of our other qualifiers from this week for you to vote on which tour he gets placed on. Season 2 is going to be insane, and we just got a wild competitor here in tonight's event. Heading back up to starting elevation to get his glamour shot. Northern Nightmare moves on to RORSRPS Season 2. What a way to get it done. One last look at Northern Nightmare. We also need 27 subs on the season, so if you have any ideas for monster trucks that you want to see in Season 2 as a substitute, be sure to head over to the comments right now and leave your ideas down below. I need 27 spots to be filled. I'm considering all suggestions, so leave them down below, please. Super Mario coming back once again. We haven't seen him in a short while. Bigfoot coming back. We haven't seen him in a while. Pastrana 199 had a great run the first time we saw him, just managed to go over early in his final competition race. Suburban Daredevil back once again to give it another shot. And Extreme Insanity, another Namped truck, coming back once again. Tunalodon taking another shot at the Spin Master Showdown qualifier. Vendetta debuting. We haven't seen him at all on this channel. Superman, a werewolf version of that truck. Ooh, the RORSRPS World Finals 1 Sheriff is here, looking to qualify into Season 2. We'll see if Sheriff can come back the exact version that we had last season. We got another Bigfoot. I saw that. Pure Adrenaline is here to give it a shot. Werewolf node beam truck. And here is our full lineup. We do have a couple randoms in there, I see. Or one random, unless I just missed it. I might have missed it. Deja Vu, one of the trucks. Let's take a look at our round 1 bracket here. Tunalodon is going to take on Pastrana 199. Super Mario will take on Superman. Vendetta is going to take on Deja Vu. Crazy Train will face off against Bigfoot. Bigfoot 14 is going to take on Sheriff. MonsterMut Rottweiler will take on Pure Adrenaline. Suburban Daredevil is going to face off against Extreme Insanity. And Obsessed will take on El Matador to close out round 1. Another exciting bracket here. A lot of awesome trucks. And here's one that I'm excited to see. And the other one, Pastrana 199 on your left, going to be taking on Tunalodon here to kick off round 1 of our second bracket. We're going green and headed to the step up. Tunalodon, a bounce off of that nose, slows him down. And an awkward landing there on that Jackrabbit as well. Just putting him farther and farther behind Pastrana 199 right now. But Pastrana gets a wide turn through that first little dome turn we got there. Coming through the slalom, Pastrana 199 really trying to get back up into the semis and the finals once again. Just was unable to get it done last time with an awkward send off of the gap on the first floor here. Tunalodon getting sideways. Struggling to get onto starting elevation and clips the dumpster as well. Similar to what we just saw Max D do. Pastrana 199 just sticking it out this time around, holding a lead on Tunalodon. And look at the beautiful transfer into the tunnel. A little bit of a wheelie, which you don't want to get. But, I mean, you can't control it all the time. Look at Tunalodon getting in trouble in the tunnel. Nicely done, keeping it off the wall. Letting the truck do what it needs to do to save itself. Trying to go for the gap. Will he get a good landing? Bit of a hard hit on the front end, but lands it up on that elevated turn and keeps it going. But he's not in a position to do anything about Pastrana's lead. Pastrana 199 around that final turn and headed to the finish line. We'll be seeing Pastrana 199 in round 2 here in our second bracket. Over the finish line, Pastrana is finished already. And now comes Tunalodon. We'll be seeing Pastrana 199 in just a little bit. Tunalodon is done for tonight. Heading back up to starting elevation for our next race. Superman, a werewolf node beam truck on your left, taking on Super Mario. Battle of the Supers here in round 1. We'll see who comes out on top as we go green for race 2. Mario with a very slight lead. And expanding that lead heading into the Jackrabbit. Superman gets a solid landing on the Jackrabbit, but struggles getting straight for the gap. He's going to come up short, and that hurts his pass big time. Will he be able to come back at all? I don't know, because Super Mario has been super consistent on this track when he's not ending up in the crowd or in the fountains. He typically gets up into the semifinals. So we'll see what he does here tonight as he's in the lead, holding that lead up and through the double roller there. Kind of gets into some trouble there, getting onto starting elevation, but makes it through. Superman, nicely done, getting up on the starting elevation. Unable to do anything about this massive lead that Mario has at the moment. See how the transfer treats Mario as he goes for it. Beautifully done. Oh, heading into the wall though. Superman gonna come up a little short and get a big bounce. That doesn't help him, but it doesn't hurt him too much. Super Mario already up and into that elevated turn. Nicely done, keeping it controlled. This time around, Superman just struggling on this track tonight. Super Mario already into that final turn and headed to the triple. Superman is done here in round 1. Super Mario moves on to round 2 tonight as he flies over that finish line. Beautifully done. We'll see him again in a little bit for round 2. Superman out for tonight. Maybe he can come back soon and give it another shot. Potentially get a classic Superman into season 2. But check this out. Vendetta coming out on your right, taking on Deja Vu. We've seen Deja Vu here on this track before. The very last time we saw him, he ended up rolling the truck in the first turn. We'll see if he can get that gremlin under control tonight. But Vendetta is brand new to the track. We'll see how he handles it. Deja Vu flying over that step up. Just about neck and neck, but Vendetta gets a better landing on the Jackrabbit. Deja Vu comes up short for the gap. Manages to keep it on all fours through the turn, taking a very cautious approach there. Vendetta in the lead right now through the slalom, but Deja Vu manages to get some power behind him and come back. It's about neck and neck as we head into the double roller. Beautiful landing from Deja Vu. Vendetta just overshoots it. Trying to make up some ground on Vendetta's end. He's just a little too far behind Deja Vu right now to really put him in the lead. But he's not too far behind. Heading into the tunnel here. Deja Vu gets a solid landing. Vendetta comes up a little short. It's looking like it's all Deja Vu this time around. Vendetta struggling to get that truck under control. But this is his first time here, so I mean, you can't fault him too bad. He's going to come up short as Deja Vu struggles there, getting onto the elevated turn. And a spin from Deja Vu lets Vendetta grab a lead. Vendetta just sticking with it and not letting up. Manages to work out for him. Heading into the final turn, can he hold it? He does. Vendetta up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. We'll be seeing Vendetta in round 2. Deja Vu is done tonight thanks to a big mistake in that elevated turn. Just an awkward landing that kicked him up onto the side 2 wheels. And, gave it the gas to lose traction to try and keep that truck down. And ended up going for a spin, which let Vendetta come back. Crazy Train coming out next on your right, taking on Bigfoot. 2 more independent trucks for the Spin Master Showdown. Is Bigfoot going to end up upside down again, like we saw him do last time? Up and over the Jackrabbit. It is neck and neck right now. Bigfoot managing to stay on all 4 tires this time. Crazy Train falling behind just a little bit. But coming out of that first turn, Crazy Train makes up the ground. It is still neck and neck. This is an exciting race so far. Looking for the double roller. Bigfoot a very slight lead, but it's still, I mean, they're neck and neck. Could go either way at this point. Who is going to take the win here in round 1? Bigfoot or Crazy Train? Nicely done. It looks like a mirror in the center of the screen right now, the way they're handling those cars. Looking for the transfer. Both of them coming up just a little short. And Bigfoot comes out with the lead, heading into the gap. Can he hold it? This is the first time we're seeing this Bigfoot take on this gap. And he gets a pretty solid landing, ends up a bit sideways, but comes out of it clean. It looks like Bigfoot might have this. Heading into the final turn, Bigfoot holds that lead on Crazy Train. And Crazy Train manages to get a solid turn, just not enough tonight. Bigfoot moves on to round 2, knocking out Crazy Train in round 1. What a race. Crazy Train at the end just unable to make up the ground that he needed. Bigfoot killing it the entire race. Sheriff is back on your left. We saw him all season on the Sponsor Showdown Tour. Can he stick it out once again and make it into Season 2? He would be one of our returning trucks, meeting up with Predator and somebody else that I can't put my finger on at the moment. Bigfoot on your right. We just saw a Bigfoot. Of course, this is the classic Chrome Illusion version. We'll see if this Bigfoot can stick it out. We saw this truck with the Xbox body on it all season on the Sponsor Showdown Tour as well. Him and Sheriff actually faced off a couple times throughout the season. So we'll see if, who's going to come out in the matchup of Season 2, or Season 1, excuse me. Nicely done getting onto starting elevation for Bigfoot, but he's too far behind Sheriff at the moment. He is hurting here in round 1. Nicely done over the cars for Sheriff. Bigfoot nearly falling off the bridge. Nice landing from Sheriff into the transfer. Beautiful landing from Bigfoot. Better than Sheriff. But Bigfoot is too far behind to make any moves right now. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Sheriff nearly clearing the gap. Bigfoot getting a solid landing, but it kicks him up onto the nose, which nearly sends him into the cars. And if you get up on top of those cars, we shut you off and you are done. So Bigfoot saved himself there, but can't save the run. Sheriff sloppy here in this final straightaway. Nicely done over the triple and headed to the finish line. Sheriff moves on to round 2. He's going to need to tighten up a lot of screws heading into the next round if he wants to continue on tonight and make it into Season 2. They're going to head back up to starting elevation, and so are we as we see our next competitors. MonsterMut Rottweiler on your right, going to take on Pure Adrenaline on your left. First time we're seeing Pure Adrenaline on the channel. See how he does here on this new school track. Heading up and over the step up. Pure Adrenaline, big sky wheelie. That hurts big time. MonsterMut Rottweiler, an early lead. Can he hold it the entire race on the Werewolf node beam truck? Nicely done through the gap for Pure Adrenaline. Gets an almost a solid landing there on the gap on the first floor. MonsterMut Rottweiler goes for a spin a little bit there in the slalom, giving Pure Adrenaline what he needed to catch up just enough to neck and neck it with the double rollers here, but Pure Adrenaline struggles, and he's going to struggle getting onto starting elevation. Down goes Pure Adrenaline. Wow. Unfortunate break for Pure Adrenaline as he slides himself down the ramp face there. MonsterMut Rottweiler looks like he has a free shot at round 2. Solid transfer into the tunnel. What has he got for the gap? Can he clear it? He's gonna try. Ooh, nice save, keeping it off the roof there. No roll for MonsterMut Rottweiler here in round 1. Beautifully done through the chicane on the bottom floor and headed into the final turn. Looking good for Rottweiler here in round 1. Can he do this again in round 2? We'll see him in round 2 in just a minute as he flies over that finish line. MonsterMut Rottweiler. On to the next one. Let's take a look at our next performers, our next competitors here for round 1. Suburban Daredevil coming out on your right. He's going to be taking on Extreme Insanity, a namped truck. So, I mean, we have an idea of how this is going to go. Unless there's a big mistake from Suburban Daredevil. We'll see how it goes here for round 1. Up and over the step up. Extreme Insanity with a big wheelie. Comes up short on the step up. But Suburban Daredevil is sloppy tonight. Gonna have to come up short in the gap, but it's okay because so does Extreme Insanity. So he's right back where he was. Coming through the slalom. Not too bad from Suburban Daredevil here. Bit slippery there. Needs to tame that rear end. Bring it behind the truck. Keep it behind the truck. Bit of an awkward bounce there, and he's struggling getting up onto starting elevation. Suburban Daredevil goes down. Gets a save, but Extreme Insanity is too far in the lead for that to matter at this point. Can Suburban Daredevil make a move here and come back before the end of the race? And that's what I'm talking about, those NAMP trucks. We haven't seen one make it into round 2. Extreme Insanity getting into some mistakes on his own here. Suburban Daredevil can make up the ground if he puts the power down now and makes the choice in his head that he is coming back. We'll see if he does it or not. Extreme Insanity already up into the elevated turn. I don't know if it's going to happen for Suburban Daredevil. No, especially not going long to low in that elevated turn. Suburban Daredevil done thanks to a huge mistake. Getting back up onto starting elevation. Extreme Insanity coming up short for the triple. Trying to get across that finish line, and he does. Suburban Daredevil, too many mistakes to come back for Extreme Insanity. Down goes Suburban Daredevil, and we have our first NAMPed round 2 placement. Extreme Insanity gets into the next round tonight. El Matador coming out next on your left. He's taking on Obsessed. Now, El Matador is a solid truck, solid racer, but Obsessed has made it into the final round. At least the chassis has. We'll see if Obsessed can tonight. Nicely done from Obsessed. Beautiful landing on the downside, coming off of that step up. Pretty solid gap from Obsessed, and a great gap from El Matador, just not the cleanest landing on the downside. It's Obsessed still leading heading into the slalom. Can El Matador make a move? See Obsessed drifting that truck around, keeping it nice and tight with the slalom. You see El Matador trying to take a more grippy approach. He does seem to have made up a little bit of ground, but not enough to take a lead. Obsessed is struggling though. Doesn't matter because El Matador also had his own mistakes heading up onto starting elevation. Oh, Obsessed bounces off the cars. Uh-oh, Obsessed might be stuck here. Obsessed not looking good. El Matador is moving on if he can keep this gap on Obsessed. Obsessed does manage to come back, but El Matador is all over the place in the tunnel, bouncing off of walls. I don't know, man. Obsessed does have a flat tire, which is gonna, hurt his performance here through the bottom floor. But El Matador is having a lot of mistakes. There's another one, an awkward bounce onto that elevated turn. But El Matador might be too far in the lead. He is. El Matador heading into the final turn. It's gonna be. Obsessed done in round 1. And what a way to close out the last race of round 1. Obsessed, a huge, it wasn't even a mistake. It was just unlucky landing where he did and getting hung up on the car. El Matador moving on to round 2 tonight. Let's take a look at that round 2 bracket. Pastrana 199 is going to take on Super Mario to get us started. Vendetta will face off against Bigfoot. Sheriff is going to take on MonsterMut Rottweiler. And Extreme Insanity is going to face off against El Matador. Of course, I don't think Extreme Insanity is going to hold up against El Matador, especially if El Matador manages to clean up the screws here in round 1. Pastrana 199 is going to take on Super Mario to get us started, though. So this is going to be an interesting race. Both of these trucks, typically strong racers. It's really just if Super Mario can keep that truck on the track and if Pastrana can stay on all fours. Launching off of the starting line to kick off round 1. It's neck and neck over the step up. But it's Pastrana leading to the Jackrabbit. Huge leap from Pastrana, just short for Super Mario, and it kicks him off into the dumpsters here in the first turn. He's at a disadvantage right now. He needs to get that truck together if he wants to make up the ground on Pastrana 199. 199 already coming out of the slalom and headed to the double roller. Solid landing. Super Mario comes up short there too, and short onto the starting elevation platform. Super Mario is struggling here in round 2. Pastrana 199 a little sloppy through the bridge, but still holding that lead, looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Comes up a little short, but gets it done. Super Mario comes up short again. He's coming out of the tunnel. It's looking good for Pastrana right now. Onto that elevated turn. Pastrana 199 gets it done. Super Mario goes for a roll. Gets back on all 4 BKT tires, but that is it for Super Mario. Pastrana 199 is headed around that final turn and to the finish line. A rough final turn, but Super Mario is too far behind at the moment to do anything. He might be able to come back. Pastrana 199 struggling here. Pastrana limping to the finish. Super Mario coming behind, but it is 199 who narrowly gets a win. Barely, by inches here. Super Mario almost made it to the finish line, but it was not Mario. 199 advances on to round 3, our semifinals tonight. Vendetta is gonna face off against Bigfoot. What a way to kick off the second round tonight. Will this one be as eventful as our first? We will see in just a minute as Bigfoot leads heading to the Jackrabbit. Both trucks with solid landings. Vendetta a little squirrely on the landing, but gets a beautiful downside on the gap. Bigfoot had an early lead though, so he is going to hold it as we head into the slalom. Will Vendetta be able to come back through the slalom and make up some ground on Bigfoot? Coming out of it, it is neck and neck. Completely tied up and through the double roller here and up onto starting elevation. Heading down to the bridge, or up to the bridge. Bigfoot in the lead once again. Vendetta fighting for his spot right now. Can he stick it out for the entire race? He did it in round 1. Will just a slow and steady lap pay off for him again? We'll see, as Bigfoot is the first one to the gap here on the bottom floor. Will there be a big mistake? Flying onto that elevated turn, Bigfoot goes down. Sticking with it pays off once again for Vendetta. He will be moving on to the semifinals to face off against Pastrana 199. Vendetta on to round 3. Up and over that triple and headed to the finish line. What a way for Vendetta to take a win once again. His strategy of just sticking with it and staying on the gas, staying consistent, is paying off for him. His opponent's going a little too hard twice now and going over early. MonsterMut Rottweiler coming out next on your left, taking on Sheriff on your right. Can the Season 1 competitor make it back into Season 2 tonight by knocking out MonsterMut Rottweiler here in round 2? Over and through the step up. MonsterMut leads to the Jackrabbit, but Sheriff gets a smoother landing. Still neck and neck. Doesn't matter too much because Rottweiler had a good landing also. Just wasn't as good as Sheriff's, but Sheriff has a rough first turn. MonsterMut leads heading through the slalom here. Wow, what a set of turns from MonsterMut Rottweiler. Leading into and over the double roller. Sheriff gets a nice downside. He's making an effort to come back. He was a solid racer when we saw him last season, was just unable to get any wins. We'll see if he can get a second win tonight. here against Rottweiler, but Rottweiler is going to be the first one down onto the floor off of the bridge. Looking for a transfer for Rottweiler. Nicely done. Solid transfer from Sheriff as well. A bit too much of an overcorrection there in the tunnel. Keeps it moving forward, but that does slow him down just a little bit. Sheriff is going to have to go, Rottweiler is going to have to go long to low there. Sheriff clearing it. Trying to keep that truck under control. It is neck and neck coming out of this elevated turn. Rottweiler has a very slight lead. Into the final turn. It could go either way here. MonsterMut Rottweiler fighting to keep that truck under control. And he holds the lead up and over the triple and to the finish line. MonsterMut Rottweiler heads into our semifinals tonight. Nicely done. Holding Sheriff off the entire race. Sheriff nearly with a comeback there at the end, but just not enough in the tank for him tonight. Heading into our next and final race of the semifinals, El Matador is going to be taking on Extreme Insanity. Can the Namps truck hold on here in round 2, or will El Matador move on? Launching off the starting line, El Matador with an early lead on Extreme Insanity. Ooh, Extreme Insanity getting into trouble there off of the Jackrabbit. El Matador leading heading into this first turn. It's not looking good for Extreme Insanity right now. El Matador already halfway through the slalom. Extreme Insanity may be too far behind already at this point. And with a spin in that slalom, it's looking like it's done for Extreme Insanity tonight. We'll see if El Matador makes a big mistake and Extreme Insanity can stick it out. But at this point, I don't think it's going to happen for Extreme Insanity. El Matador already through the bridge. Nicely done. Up and into the tunnel. A sloppy transfer there from El Matador, but not bad enough to put him behind Extreme Insanity. Looking like El Matador is going to be moving on to the semifinals tonight. Going to go long to low, take it easy there through the gap. That hurt him big time last time around when he smacked that front face. He's going to try to, I'm hoping he's going to use that same strategy for the semifinals, or else he might be out. He might be out with that strategy. I don't know. We're going to have to just watch and see. But coming around that final turn, El Matador heading over the triple and to the finish line first. Extreme Insanity is done, and El Matador is our final spot in the semifinals. Nicely done. One more mistake from Extreme Insanity as he heads around that final turn. Extreme Insanity is done and headed to the finish line to get back into his hauler for the night. Just a rough break for Extreme Insanity. I mean, you move into round 2, you usually are supposed to be able to keep up with your opponent. Pastrana 199 taking on Vendetta to kick off the semifinals, and to close it out, MonsterMut Rottweiler will take on El Matador. Couple of great races here, and from what we've seen from these competitors all night, it could go either way. I mean, Pastrana 199 has been solid as a whole. Vendetta using his strategy of just stick with it and you'll get in there. It's been working for him, but will it work for him in the semifinals? I don't know. I don't know about, going up against Pastrana 199. See how it goes as we're already onto the first floor here. Pastrana leads to the Jackrabbit, and both trucks get a little crooked there, a little squirrely. Both of them getting great landings on the gap, though. Neck and neck through the turn. Vendetta is a solid truck through these slaloms. He might be able to make up some ground on Pastrana, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Pastrana holding that lead just slightly. Vendetta gets a better landing, but Pastrana once again just holding that lead. Tauntingly close on Vendetta, but Vendetta is making up the ground. He leads heading up onto the bridge. Wow, Vendetta leading, heading into the tunnel. Comes up short for the transfer though. Pastrana 199 going for it. And it's neck and neck heading down to the bottom floor. Vendetta, a slight lead. Who's going to get a better transfer here onto that elevated turn? Vendetta going long to low. Pastrana nails the landing up onto it. And it is neck and neck coming out of the chicane. Pastrana grabs the lead thanks to Vendetta's slip. And coming around the final turn, Pastrana 199 heads into the final round tonight. Wow, what a race. Vendetta coming back in the middle, but unable to hold his grip through the turn, through the elevated turn, coming down into the chicane. Just loses the rear end, and Pastrana 199 comes back and grabs a win and an advancement into the finals. This is Pastrana's shot to get into Season 2. Can he do it this time around? MonsterMut Rottweiler coming out on your right, taking on El Matador to close out the semifinals tonight. We're going green. El Matador with a lead over the step up and heading over the Jackrabbit as well. It's looking good for El Matador right now, but MonsterMut Rottweiler comes back. What a turn from El Matador. Very interesting entry, but he manages to keep right up with MonsterMut Rottweiler, so it's a solid approach for him. Coming into the double rollers, El Matador in the lead right now. MonsterMut Rottweiler struggling here on the first floor. Ooh, El Matador just narrowly avoiding that dumpster, coming around that starting elevation turn. Oh, but it's MonsterMut Rottweiler who comes through the bridge smoother. Who's going to have a better transfer into the tunnel? El Matador, I would say. But it's not enough to get a lead on MonsterMut Rottweiler. Can he do it in the gap? MonsterMut's going to go for it. El Matador doing that approach, that long to low. Which does, I mean, that is the slower approach between trying to clear it and, and the long to low. But if you're a truck like El Matador and you're going to smack your tie rod on the front face of the jump, might be better to go long to low. But it's going to be Rottweiler this time around, coming around the final turn, up and over the triple and to the finish line. MonsterMut Rottweiler heads into the final round. Will we finally get a mutt qualified into Season 2? Let's check out our final round bracket here. Pastrana 199 will be taking on MonsterMut Rottweiler. An interesting race for sure, especially if you keep in mind what we've seen from these two trucks all night long. MonsterMut Rottweiler has a great shot at getting into Season 2. Pastrana 199 has a shot, especially since he's been pretty consistent not only tonight, but the other times we've seen him as well. He just managed to make a big mistake in the final round last time we saw him. We'll see if he can hold it together. This is the same lane he made his mistake in the first time. Can he keep it together tonight as we go green for your final round of racing? Up and over the step up. Pastrana 199 gets to the ground first, but it's still neck and neck. Pastrana trying to keep it under control there as we head up and over the gap. MonsterMut Rottweiler has a slight lead on Pastrana right now. Pastrana is solid through the slalom. Can he make up the ground on MonsterMut Rottweiler? He does. He leads up and over the double rollers and gets a smoother landing as well. Rottweiler's slight lead as we head into the ski hill, but it's neck and neck up onto the bridge. This is an exciting race so far. A great matchup for the final round of racing tonight. Who is going to take the win? MonsterMut Rottweiler with a great transfer. Pastrana a bit bouncy. That puts him behind heading into the bottom floor. Now Pastrana is going to clear it. He's not afraid to launch this truck for this landing. And he gets a great one, but he gets an awkward entry into the turn. MonsterMut Rottweiler already coming out. It's neck and neck coming out of the chicane. MonsterMut Rottweiler, slight lead heading into the final turn. Who's going to have a better one? Oh, it is close, but I think it's going to be MonsterMut Rottweiler heading to the finish line first, and it is. MonsterMut Rottweiler is our next Season 2 qualifier and our final qualifier for the week. What a night of racing for MonsterMut Rottweiler. Been on point all night, a couple mistakes here and there, but I mean, we're human, you gotta expect it. Wow. And if you want to vote to place what tour he gets put on, head over to RORSRPS Instagram. Tomorrow morning tomorrow like noonish, we'll be hosting our votes for Season 2 tour placements for all the qualifiers from this week. And you can place him on either the Biggest and Baddest Tour, the Indy Madness Tour, or the All-Star Challenge Tour. One last look at him, and then a beautiful glamour shot of that MonsterMut Rottweiler truck. We'll be seeing him again very soon on ROR SRPS Season 2. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for me. Do me a favor here in our last episode of the week and give me a share so I can get out to some more eyes and we can get some more fans for Season 2. But thank you guys one more time for watching. I'll see you guys soon for more ROR SRPS Season 2 Qualifier.